Hey people of the VC, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder back with part two of my Magnum discography walkthrough. In part one, which I'll leave a link to in this video somewhere, top, bottom, whatever, I went through the first main and probably the most successful period of Magnum from the 70s all the way up to 1994 when the band broke up and they went on a hiatus for about 8 years or so, or 6 or 7 years, but then they got back together. It was 8 years until they actually released their next and 12th studio album, I think it is. Well, but we'll come to that. Um, so Tony Clarkin, and this is a quote I got off Wikipedia, he said, for almost 20 years, all his thoughts had revolved around the band. He needed a break to clear my head and be able to devote myself to the band again with renewed energy. And so he reformed the band with Bob Catley. I mean, during his sabbatical, he hadn't been away from music. He started another band with Bob Catley called Hard Rain. And they released a couple of albums, I believe, which I've not heard yet, but that's something I think I'll pick up when I finally plug the final gaps in my Magnum collection. So there are 12 albums in this second rebirth of Magnum, spanning 2002 up until last year or so. And I have all of those bar one, and I'll come to that one when we're in the allotted slot and explain why I don't have that one out of this lot. So in 2002, so the 12th studio album was released, and it was called Breath of Life. Magnum returned and they'd signed with SPV Steamhammer, which I believe they've been on ever since. They did reform, but this album they reformed without a drummer. All the drum parts on the album are either played or samples by Tony Clarkin, and it does sound a little bit tinny as a result. It's more of a guitar-oriented album. The solos stand out more than, say, the keyboards do. It's a slightly different sound, but it's still definitely a Magnum album. Interesting enough, with the booklet, you could tell the drummer was kind of a bit of an afterthought. So Mickey Barker joined the band on drums around this time, but after the album had been recorded. So there's lots of arty pictures of the existing members of the band. It's Tony Clarkin. And but the picture where they actually show photos of the band, you could see Mickey Barker, his kind of photoshopped in. He's not got the same sort of sepia photo shoot photos the rest of them have. They're just kind of stuck in the middle there, which I thought was quite amusing. Songs on this album to try out: This Heart and Still. I'm not sure if you were to read that, but great stuff. And this one also has 3 hidden tracks on it as well. It took me a while to figure out which version this was on Discogs, and it kind of came in a set. I'll come to that after the show the next album. But it's got 2 live and 1 acoustic track, but it's not mentioned anywhere on the list. So it shows 12 tracks on here, but when you put it in your CD player, it shows you have 15. It's quite cool to have some extras. So this is the 12th studio album, A Breath of Life, from 2002. Next up was Brand New Morning, 13th studio album. This one's a little bit bland. It's a bit pedestrian in its sound when you compare it to the other animals. These are albums, not animals. I think Magnum were trying to find their feet again after such a long break from doing the band. And from what I can gather, these first 2 albums are still a little bit sort of in the Hard Rain mould from what I've heard. But I haven't actually heard Hard Rain, so I can't confirm or deny that one. Keyboards on here are just a little bit plinky plonky, and I'm not a fan of plinky plonky keyboards, but it's got a couple of good songs on it. Favourite one is probably We All Run, which is the third track on the album. Now I picked up this as part of a 2 CD set, which was kind of quite nice. So I made a decision to pick up the later, and by say later, this second generation set of Magnum albums on CDs, because the ones that are released on vinyl are really low runs and incredibly expensive to pick up. And once I decided that I was going to chase down the discography, the CDs were the easiest way to do it, and often the CDs are not that easy to find and not that cheap either. So I've been looking around for deals as they've been coming along. But yeah, this Breath of Life and Brand New Morning double set was really good. So this set came out in 2008, but from what I can tell, both CDs are original release CDs from the markings and everything that's on there. So they've just obviously had a bunch left over, repackaged it, and throw them out as a box set. So that's a good box set to get if you want to try and get a couple at once. Next up, this is the 14th studio album called Princess Alice and the Arrow from 2007, also on SPV. Rodney Matthews is back in the fold. Let's try and get this out so you can get a better look at the artwork. It's a shame these aren't readily available on vinyl, because these, like Iron Maiden, Magnum covers are they're great from an artwork point of view to have it on the bigger format. But this one, the sound again, it sounds like Magnum. They all sound like Magnum, but this one is more keyboard rock than a hard rock album. Songs to check out on here would be track 7, Be Strong, and Your Lies as well, track 9. Those are the two that really kind of rock on here. The others are just a little bit more melodic in nature. So that's Princess Alice and the Arrow from 2007. Note to the Princess Alice, the Alice in Wonderland theme, that comes up again a little later on. 15th studio album is Into the Valley of the Moon King from 2009. Harry James, drummer, returns on this. A few of these don't have the CDs in because they're all in my Beast 200 CD changer behind me, but around this era you'll notice a few of these I've got are digipacks with additional DVDs. I'm not actually sure, it doesn't mention the DVD at all in the booklet that I can remember, or the cover of what extras are on here, but there's usually some live extras and maybe some interviews with the band about the album at the time. But again, fantastic artwork. The sound of this one, though, has a very 80s guitar keyboard feel to it. It doesn't feel like a 2000s album at all. In fact, it's a little bit Dire Straitsy for my liking, which is probably the ultimate insult I could give to them. So not one of my favourite albums at all. I can't really get into the overall feel of this album. It seems a little bit experimental to me. A few different styles of music going on here, as I say, just sounds a little bit dated. But I must say that most of the albums in this video I have picked up over the last year or so, so it may take time for me to really absorb some of these. They've all been listened to at least 2 or 3 times in the build up to this this video, so I'm still finding my feet with the latter period, the 21st century Magnum. But this is Into the Valley of the Moon King. Number 16 is 2011's The Visitation. Again, you can see this comes with a bonus DVD as well. It's not a bad album at all, but nothing really stands out. In fact, I haven't even picked out any songs from this one. It comes in a cardboard slipcase. There's the artwork. Now Magnum seem to change their logo top. They've not been one of these bands that have had almost like a signature style for the lettering of their name. They do tend to switch it up a bit, and in fact they've used, a few of them have this sword here as the M on Magnum, so they've kind of kept a few hints for the different letter styles they've used before. We have here nice now this is just really a card wallet. It's one of these ones where the CDs and the DVDs just sit straight in the hard cardboard, so not the best packaging at all. I'm trying to remember the songs off here, and I'm struggling. The DVD, bonus DVD, has some live footage, song videos, behind the scenes artwork, and Rodney Matthews artwork photo gallery. I often buy, or when I buy these CD sets that have the DVDs, I do have the best intentions to go and watch the DVDs, but I'm going to admit I've not actually watched any of these DVDs from this Magnum's set so far. I will binge them one night, but I buy them for the music really, not so much for the DVDs at all. Now in 2012, and this is one of the harder ones, and it took me a while to actually find this at a price that I was willing to pay. It's still a little bit more than I pay on secondhand CDs, but there we go. This is On the 13th Day by Magnum. This one's not the easiest one to find, but it is one of the best from the newer period of Magnum. It's their 17th studio album. More Rodney Matthews on the cover. This one's heavier. In fact, Bob Catley has come out and said that this is their heavy metal album. It's not heavy metal, but as Magnum goes, this one is a lot more heavier in terms of the sound of the guitars, less keyboardy and less melodic. Dance of the Black Tattoo is possibly a song that you could actually call heavy metal, but So Let It Rain, that's a lot more melodic, but fantastic song. All the Dreamers, Shadow Train, See How They Fall. This probably one of my favourite, one or two in terms of year 2000s Magnum. Well worth checking out. Shadowtown as well. Did I mention that one, Shadowtown? Yeah, that's a fantastic song. So I agree with Bob Catley. This is your heaviest album that you've done. Nothing remarkable in the artwork. Crystal Palace fan, clearly. Band shots and lyrics. Yeah, On the 13th Day, definitely worth checking out for the newer side of the catalogue. 2014, we moved to Escape from the Shadow Garden. We're back to the sort of double digipack gatefold with CD in the drive and DVD as well. This DVD bonus footage, what do we have on here? We've got some live footage and some extra tour footage as well. 18th studio album. Songs to check out on here are Falling for the Big Plan, Too Many Clowns, and Burning River. So yeah, one of the stars of the 2010s. Definitely worth checking out. Escape from the Shadow Garden 2014. 19th studio album. We have Sacred Blood, Divine Lies, 2016 SBV Steamhammer again. This is a long-standing keyboardist Mark Stanway's last album with the band. It's steady all the way through. There's not a backtrack on here. It's not spectacular, but it's a very solid Magnum album, and definitely one worth having in the collection. Crazy Old Mother and A Forgotten Conversation. Difficult to read here, but you know, Rodney Matthews artwork, unmistakable. I do love that version of the Magnum logo. There we have a DVD again in the slipcase. What do we got on the DVD here? We have got looks like some music videos and some bonus songs. So 5 extra tracks on the bonus DVD. Definitely one worth checking out. Sacred Blood, Divine Lies from 2016. Now we move on to the 2018 release. Now there's something significant about Lost on the Road to Eternity. This was the album that basically got me buying all these other albums. Up until I heard this, my collection was pretty much what was in the last video, excluding the rock art that I showed as the final one in that collection. 78 to 90, that was me. That was my era for Magnum, and I didn't really care to check out anything new, but I did pick up Lost on the Road to Eternity just out of curiosity, and I love it. This is fantastic. On the 13th Day or Lost on the Road to Eternity, definitely the top 2 from the 2000s. And this is well worth having. It's an absolutely beautiful album. It's really, really long. It's Lee Morris's first album on drums. Clocks in at 67 minutes all in all. So if you stick it on, you're in it for the long haul. But it's just a fantastic listen. The cover, Rodney Matthews, of course. Again, we have Alice in Wonderland, and supposedly all the characters are represented on the artwork on this album. We're back to the sword Magnum symbol, and again we have a DVD that comes with it with 4 live versions of tracks, not from this album but from previous albums. So yeah, this was what got me collecting all the CDs that you see in this video. But I know this one the best of the lot because I have played it over and over again, and it's one that I return to quite often. It also saw long-time bass player Al Barrow. It's his last album. He retired after doing this one. So I said there were 21 albums in the first video. That's the 20th and the last one that I actually own. Now I'm gonna in 2020 Magnum released their latest studio album, but I don't own it. Now I wouldn't normally do a collection video if I didn't have everything. I'm kind of, it's kind of feels a bit wrong if you're not the completist, but that's what, oh, too bright. That didn't work at all, did it? There we go, that's better. The Serpent Rings is Magnum's 21st album. I'm showing this, obviously I'm showing this because I don't own a copy, but there's a reason I don't own a copy. I don't think it's that great. I've got it available on Amazon Music. I've heard it 3 or 4 times. I've really tried to get into it, but there's nothing on there that really grabs me. I will pick it up when I find it for a decent price, but at the moment it's still a premium price on CD. It's at least £15-16, and that's more than I pay for CDs generally, and it's certainly more than I pay for an album that I know I don't think is that fantastic, even if I want to just plug that gap in the collection. So one day I will pick up the Serpent Rings, but not now, not while it is still going for a premium CD price. So that's it. That's my walkthrough of Magnum's 21 in total across these 2 parts of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit about Magnum. I really enjoyed reading the comments from the first video. I think Magnum are vastly underrated and deserve much more credit and recognition than they get. I hardly hear them mentioned at all on the YouTube channels that I watch. But I was delighted to see a ton of response in the comments about people who agree with me and say what a fantastic band that they are. If you are really only familiar with their 80s output, there are some good albums in the 2010s, so I would thoroughly recommend these two, if only these two, to get you going. No, I can't find them. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, on the 13th day, which seems to have just completely disappeared and lost on the road to eternity. Oh, there you go. It's just got inside out. Yeah, on the 13th day. So on the 13th day, let's do that again. Pretend I've cut that bit. And on the 13th day and Lost on the Road to Eternity are two for, if you're a Magnum fan and you want to check out the newer stuff, these are the go-to albums for me. Thanks for watching. I will see you again soon.